Welcome to Believe in Celtics. I'm your host, Warren Shaw, and alongside me, as always, is the great Gary Washburn. We're your hosts and resources for everything Celtics this season and all seasons. Gary is fresh off of a cold, wintry trip to Indiana at the All-Star game. But Gary, good to be back in the virtual building with you, my guy. How you doing?
Really good, really good. Taking a little break with the season not picking up till Thursday, so it's a good chance to take a breather before it really picks up again, and we get to the stretch run. But always fun to go to All-Star, see some of the legends, see people you haven't seen in a long time. And the league, kind of a big league get-together and party. You see some neat things. You see some of the state-of-the-art things the league is doing. You get it's great for kids. What they call the NBA crossover, which is kind of like just the big amusement park kind of thing, indoor amusement park for kids and for – I think that's always fun, and the neat stuff that's coming out and all the All-Star paraphernalia and all that. So, yeah, just always a good time. The NBA, besides the game, always puts on a good show for the fans. And they've, it's kind of like Super Bowl week, I would imagine, just a celebration of the league. And so, yeah, always good to go. And Indianapolis put on a nice All-Star game, a little chilly, but what you expected, and we'll see what happens next year. It moves to San Francisco, and it's going to get a little bit warm over the next couple of years with LA after that, and then what I'm hearing, Phoenix in 2027. So we're going to head out west for the next 3 years, and we'll see about after that.
Well, I know you love that West Coast living. We know West Coast Gary. That's definitely a thing. So that'll be a good vibe. Really quickly though, your thoughts between the pageantry, if you will, of All-Star versus Summer League, so to speak, because I think they're both very much become fan level events, and obviously very two different types of conversations there, so to speak. But it's interesting because all the vitriol that I think surrounded the activities, the television product, if you will, of All-Star Weekend, doesn't really compare to what's happening off the court, if you will, as you alluded to. And obviously you're a veteran of all of these things, and I've been to more than my fair share of All-Stars as well too. And it really is it's the activations, it's the events, it's the stuff that's happening off the court that really makes the time. I think Summer League is trying to get to that same level, if you will, but it's hard to sustain it over such a longer period of time in general, at least in my opinion. But your thoughts on the fan experience, if you will, All-Star versus Summer League?
Yeah, Summer League is more, like a chance to watch all the games and the rookies and the two different arenas, and they have a few things for the fans in terms of like kind of a pop-a shot for the kids and, the merchandise or whatever. But it's more about the games, right? It's more about just seeing the top rookies and some of the, second-year players who decide to play and just spending the summer, with some real comfortable clothes on, those shorts, the Vegas summer, and just getting indoors and checking out some hoops, right? Seeing who the new superstars are going to be. Right. All-Stars, obviously the All-Stars are there, and you have the rising stars there. And then I think an element too with All-Star is the legends, the people that come back that are, you guys from, yesteryears you might not have seen in a while, guys who come back and get appreciated. And obviously with the theme, it's an Indiana theme, right? So Reggie Miller, Larry Bird, right. Jalen Rose, guys who played for the Pacers, Dale Davis, I saw, you look at the guys, Al Harrington, guys that were, played, 10 whatever plus years for the Pacers, and they get celebrated. Darnell Hillman, a guy at a Thriller meeting, Dr. Dunk, a guy in the ABA from the ABA days. And, they had an ABA forum at the Legends Brunch with Spencer Haywood, Darnell Hillman, Dr. J, and Artist Gilmore. Like that's the neat stuff about All-Star that you probably don't get as much at Summer League. You get current players that go to Summer League or hang out because obviously Vegas is the place to be in the summer and they'll go work out. But just the Legends aspect of it, and then that crossover, which I mentioned before, the huge thing where they have the gear, the swag, if you want, and then they have companies, the
But
trading
NBA
card.
did that though in summer. This did NBA Con, right? So it's
Yeah,
similar to that. Yeah.
yeah. And it's I think it was the first or second year they've done that. And I know they kind of did that also during the finals, I believe, too, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of had a amusement park kind of thing or something for fans. But I want to say the league is really, like all the companies, the sponsors of the league, so you can get, rare looking, cool looking basketballs, and you can shoot baskets for prizes, and you can and Jaylen Brown was there signing off, taking pictures and signing autographs for fans, and they have this discussion where they'll have people, especially in what they're trying to do, which is great, is highlight more WNBA folks too, and the players and the stars of that league. So they had, a lot of discussions, Asia Wilson and a lot of the WNBA standouts also go to All-Star Weekend and get celebrated. And they have, panel discussions and things like that about issues of the league. And, a lot of the radio stations or NBA radio will do live broadcasts. So it's more of it's just a fun weekend. And even if you don't go to the game, I think it's really fun for kids. I mean, the kids are not going to be as much, if you're 8, 9 years old, you're not going to be looking at the 3-point. You're going to want to play ball, right? You're going to want to have fun. You're going to want to run around. You're going to want to do some things that kids do. You're not going to be locked in and focused on the skills challenge. So I think that this allows kids to really get the NBA impact, download cool things on their phone or the QR codes to get prizes and things like that. There was a guy who was like a Rubik's Cube expert that was putting together Rubik's Cubes with the All-Star logo. He's like one of those literally superstar Rubik's Cube guys. And they had little Rubik's Cubes available with 6 of the NBA's logos. So they're going to
Billy Kidd. I know him. Billy Kidd, who runs that. Yeah.
They're going to release, obviously with 30 teams, release, I think, 5 more Rubik's Cubes, things like that. Cool shirts.
Did you get some swag, Gary? Did you get some All-Star swag?
I did get some swag. Yeah. And that's some of the fun part is, as a reporter, you're also a fan of the league, and you could just walk around and like, man, I like this. Or if you have kids or whatever, hey, I'm gonna bring my son or daughter back.
Yeah,
this ball or something. It's always fun. And I said All-Star Weekend is more than just the game, and I think what the league is starting to realize is that the game is sort of become more of an afterthought because honestly, Warren, a lot of these guys are tired. You got, if you're Jayson or Jaylen or Dame Lillard, you're doing radio interviews, you're practicing, you're doing promotional appearances for your shoe company, you're doing other sponsorships. So they get to Indy. It's not like they get to sleep and chill.
Right.
And you got probably, we've got your family there. So we've got to go out to dinner every night, right? And then we got to go. Then there's the parties. Okay, I gotta, my man is, Nike's throwing a party or Adidas or
the 2K party, the Jordan party, everybody, yeah.
So I gotta do this, I gotta do that. So by the time Sunday comes around, Warren, I think these guys are kind of worn out. And the whole like, okay, now play 48 hard minutes and act like it's game 7 isn't realistic, but I do think we can do better than we did on Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, I think for the seasons, folks who understand and know, and this isn't a flex at all, but I think from the media perspective, and we're just giving you some advice as well, too, if you're consumers of the game, don't even worry about it, like trying to get to the All-Star game itself. I tell you, maybe you can go to the practice, you can get cheaper tickets, a little bit more engagement that way, but then just being in the environment of the city is a better overall time. I think for anybody's dollar, really and truly, like, for the general fan.
Yeah. Especially if you have kids, you want to bring your kids. You got NBA fans who are kids, WNBA fans who are kids. The crossover is probably obviously more worth your dollar and will do more and have more impact on your child, young person than probably going to the game. Because the game, is awesome and cool, but kids want to play. They want to shoot hoops. They want to win prizes. They want to see cool things. And the crossover has all of that. So I think it's definitely still worth going. But obviously, I think people want to improve the on-court product.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So before we get into more Celtic specific content in general for All-Star, we won't spend too much time on that and really litigate that because I'm sure by now you've all kind of caught on and seen what's happened. But Gary obviously has a different perspective than most. We definitely want to tap in and get that. I got to do our plugs. So make sure you follow our show on any of your podcast platforms. Give us a 5-star rating. Thumbs up, YouTube, the whole 9. Make sure you follow Gary at G Washburn Globe. Always catch us writing over at the Boston Globe. You can follow me on X over at Shaw Sports NBA. Follow Believe at Believe Network and at Believe Sports. So let's get into a little bit here now, G, from the Celtics standpoint. So Jaylen did the dunk contest. Yes, didn't have the best performance. Made it to the finals of it, but Matt McClung ultimately takes it. Any regrets from your side you think that Jaylen has? I saw some of his, after dunk contest comments and so forth and so forth. But do you think he has any regrets about competing that, just trying to be a leader in the NBA like he really is?
No, I don't think I think he enjoyed himself. It was a no-win situation. I mean, if he wins, well, you beat a bunch of G Leaguers. If you lose, well, you lost to a bunch of G Leaguers. And, it is what it is, man. Like, I think with Jaylen, I mean, it's a no-win situation. I think he tried to do some creative stuff here and there. But I think what they need to do is put some more guidelines. Like, I think the whole jumping over somebody is just, we got to ditch that. Like, it's getting tired. And McClung, as much as he did, I think he did 3 of those dunks where he jumped over somebody. It's just like, okay, how many?
Let me interrupt you real quick though. So you were there on the ground, right? So at this stage, like let's just, and not to trash their product, so to speak, but is the sentiment from what you have gotten, not only from media, but from some of the players, is it just time for the dunk contest to be done with? Because one year they got rid of it and then people had an uproar, then they brought it back, but everyone complains every year.
I think people are just like, okay, it's time for real dunkers and real young guys in the second and third and fourth league guys and the Ja Morants and the Zion Williamsons to get involved. I think that people are fed up with pulling the guys off the street, or honestly, Warren, pull guys off the street. These guys who are doing these 720s and 1080s, and there's some real, if you want to do that, but then they're not household names. So the kids will love it, but are we going to sit there and cover, 5 guys from, and I think, didn't Kenny Smith do that a few years ago? Like, he hosted a show with guys off the street doing these crazy.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want, where you're going to get just like, you want to make it like a game show where the winner wins $1 million or whatever, and you do a story on how much he's been through to make it to this level of being a dunker. Okay. I don't know how much it's going to entertain an international audience to see some guy from Buffalo, do a crazy dunks or whatever. And after he becomes a celebrity for the next 15 minutes, like, it's not like he's going to sign an NBA deal. Now, if you want to do that, where the guys, whoever has the best dunk can sign a 10-day if you want to incorporate that, or signs a G League contract and has a chance to do the G League, maybe that's an idea. Whoever has the best dunk gets a G League deal for the rest of the season and gets a chance to prove himself as a ball player. Other than that, I think the fans are ready for the game's great dunkers, the Ja Morants, the Zion Williamson, the guys who can really get up to do it. And the fact is that they're passing on it. So they're just plucking guys out of the air. And I think it's disappointing that these guys are backing off on it. But this is the way the NBA is. Guys don't want memes of them missing dunks. They don't want to get embarrassed. The thing is, what's unique, Warren, is the 3-point contest. No one cares. If you lose if Steph loses the first round, Steph sucks. Like, no, he's still the greatest shooter of all time. Right? Like, I can't even remember who was out of the first round of the 3-point. I think it was Malik Beasley. I think Jalen Brunson. I can't remember the third guy because I think it was a 2-way tie or something.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they were all out.
Yeah. But no one's going to be like, oh, Mitchell sucks. He's a bad. No, you just move on. You didn't have a great night, or now if you hit, if you hit 2 shots out of the 30 or the 25 you get, okay, that might be a little embarrassing. But no 3-point shooters, not, the most out of those 25 shots, what are you going to, you'll hit 7 or 8 if you have a real off night. Some of these guys are hitting 15 and 18. That's, so no one says a word. But the dunks, if you miss a dunk, oh my God, you're trash. And then I said the prop thing. I think what we need to do, eliminate the props. No more mascots. No more Shaq. No more of that. Just get rid of no more props. So that's what I interviewed D Brown. He's like, the league wouldn't let us use props.
Wow.
And it was more natural dunks. And let's see what happens when guys don't have to jump over Shaq or jump over a guy. Oh my God, it's great. Like, I also think too, what hurts it is, these guys on these trampolines doing these crazy spinning dunks in the air, defying science because they're jumping on the trampoline, and that kind of takes away from the natural dunk. But if you're going to do it, eliminate the props, make it a little bit more difficult, and then get your best dunkers.
Last one before we move on here. Do you think Jaylen's attempt to inspire worked? Because I saw a lot of players like, yeah, man, I'm glad he's doing this. We need more X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. But you just talked about, Ja, Zion, whoever else you think who got the hops in terms of has the name. Did Jaylen's, what I'd say was an indirect message to some of the more larger name stars? Do you think it resonated, or did it's just going to fall flat and, no one's going to actually do anything?
I think, Warren, that depends on what happens, because now, as you know, the Player Association and the league are going to meet again. Mm-hmm. And apparently, according to our friend Vince Goodwill, Iguodala, Larry Bird, and Dr. J walked into the locker room and implored the guys to play harder in the All-Star game. And that message obviously did not resonate.
Deaf ears.
So yeah. I do think that the Player Association and the league are going to meet on this. And Silver's going to say it till he's red in the face. Listen, guys, do you want to lose millions of dollars? Do you want to lose part of the BRI? Because the All-Star game loses its luster, and whoever decides to show it for the next 10 years, TNT, ESPN, Amazon, whoever, is going to say, nah, we see how it's going, so we're not going to offer as much to telecast. That's not a ratings boost for us. So there's going to have to be conversations. And I think conversations about the dunk contest, and then conversations about the shooting stars, or the skills challenge, which I thought actually, when it was NBA legend, WNBA player from the same city, an NBA player, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, now, I think they bring that back.
Yeah, that thing lasted an hour, and it was sort of like, and I know they're trying to get Wemby involved. They're trying to get, young all-stars involved to promote them or whatever. But that's just too long for the skills challenge. And skills challenge to me, if you want to pull Kyrie and some of these guys who have the best handles or whatever, I think that's the kind of the skills you need. Or you want to have a horse competition, something like that. But just throwing it through the thing and, the obstacle course, I don't know how much that works, Warren. I don't think skill-wise that's what we want to see. I think people would want to see, if you want to do a horse game, but I know that's too slow. You want something fast-paced. So how do you do it? How do you put on a skills competition that's real skills? Right? With football, you got the quarterback's throwing it through this little hole, and that's cool because that's accuracy, marksmanship. But with basketball, how do you do that? And I think they'll figure out a way, but I think that this current format has to be ditched.
One of the other final stories through the All-Star weekend from the Celtics standpoint, obviously Jaylen and Jaylen's played specifically well in, whatever we call it, whatever that game was on Sunday in exhibition. But moving forward, I think it was the aspect, X's outrage that Jayson Tatum had never met Larry Bird. And Tatum was obviously geeked about it. But you and I know here, right? Larry's a mercurial guy, number one. And he has worked for the Pacers organization for years now. So he's not like parading around, the Boston organization like Magic Johnson is. Like, it's just not the same situation. But there was just I think it's just people want to have something to talk about and something to bag on Boston about specifically. It's like, how can Jayson Tatum, the current star, never met one of the greatest Celtics to ever live? Your thoughts on that, that conversation? But I think even more so, the bigger part for me is that Tatum was actually geeked out about it in general. And I thought that should have been the story, not to the fact that it hasn't happened as of yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, when we were looking for stuff to talk about, like Larry Bird is the anti-Magic. He doesn't go to many events. He does. Like, I've covered the Celtics for 15 years. I have never met Larry Bird. I've met great Celtics past and present. I got a chance to meet John Havlicek, obviously Tommy Heinsohn. I saw Sam Jones at a Celtics shoot around. There's all these amazing legends who I've had a chance to meet who come back. Paul Silas from the 70s team. I got a chance to meet JoJo White. Like, all these guys before they passed away, unfortunately. And with a guy like a Havlicek, I got to actually know him pretty well and interview him for a few stories. Like, that happens. But Bird is just not one of those guys that comes back. I've gotten to know Mikhail, have had conversations with Robert Parrish, it just talked to Tiny Archibald. Like, it's just Bird just doesn't do the Boston, like, come back. I've seen him at a playoff game, he's uncomfortable when he got to stand. I think he was executive for the Pacers. It was a Pacers regular season game, and they did put the Jumbotron on him, and he was just like, he just isn't comfortable in that environment. And I think it was honestly good, Warren, this weekend that he did come out. Okay, listen, Larry, you're a member, a consultant for the Pacers, your home state. Can you help the league? I'm sure said, Larry, we'd love to just have you come out, show your face, go to the game, go to the Legends brunch. We're going to give you an award. Larry's like, fine. And I think that that's fine. So I don't know who is like, someone posted that, and I want to say this, someone posted on that the Boston media was ripping Jayson and Jaylen for not meeting Larry Bird. Never happened. Not one story was posted ripping Jayson and Jaylen for not. So I don't know why that person tweeted that out and said that, we're looking for something negative to write about, and we are ripping Jayson and Jaylen for not having met Larry Bird. It's their fault. No, never been written. Okay. That's nonsense. Like, stop saying that. Stop coming up with ways to get likes and hits. Stop that. Okay. That's not what anyone has written. It's no one's fault. Larry's to himself. Jayson and Jaylen are on the road. They're like, what is, now I'm sure if the Celtics had approached Larry maybe one day, hey, can you talk to our team? Maybe he would have done it, maybe not. But Larry is a guy who's very private. So this weekend, he did NBA radio. He did the Legends brunch. I think he did a thing for Converse because he's still a Converse guy. And I think he did like a round table with Isaiah and Reggie Miller about Indiana Legends. That's what you're going to give. Last year in Utah, Stockton and Malone came, and obviously Malone's more controversial and his past issues, but Karl Malone came out and was at the Legends brunch and got honored and spoke to Isaiah Thomas. Remember, they didn't like each other for a year. Like, it's just, that's what happens. Some of these guys just don't live. Everybody ain't Magic or Isaiah, right? You ask Isaiah's got both their cell numbers. Magic knows these guys. Larry's just not that guy. So I just don't understand what people have an issue with. I think it was the coolest moment of the weekend. Jayson was like a kid again.
Yeah.
And he's like, he didn't know Larry's legit 6'9", 6'10". So he's looking at him eye to eye like, hold on. Because you look at those videos with the shorty shorts, you think Larry's about 6'5". Like, Larry's looking at him eye to eye, and Jason's like, hold up. So you were playing the 3 in 1980 in the 80s at 6'10". Like, Jayson looked at him probably like, damn, you're a big cat to me. You were playing the 3. So I thought that was the coolest part of the weekend, especially if you're a Celtic fan. And for people to turn this into some type of controversy is crazy. Yeah. Larry's a busy guy. Larry doesn't do much media. I've tried to reach out to him, other people from the Globe. It's not that he doesn't like us. I just think Larry's a reclusive guy. He's 67 years old. Warren, what do you want him to do? And then what do you want Jayson? I'm sure if Jayson said, hey, Larry, can I come out to your farmhouse or whatever and give me some hoop tips? I'm sure, but Jayson probably hasn't done that. And it's not up to Larry. So it just happens to be like that. Maybe they've exchanged numbers. Maybe there'll be some contact after this. Maybe this will encourage Larry to come back to Boston and get all the love, because people would love for him to be part of these reunions. He just really hasn't participated much, but quite honestly, Warren, his Robert Parrish hasn't come back much. And he had issues with the organization. There's some things private issues he has. It's just part of it. Jordan and Pippen didn't go back to the Bulls reunion. Like, it happens. These guys got their various reasons. So let's appreciate the moment. One current Celtic superstar, one superstar of the past, had a great meeting, took a nice shot, exchanged pleasantries, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't have said any better myself there. And I said it's a non-story that people were trying to run with, I guess, as they're looking for other things to be mad about. I think during All-Star Weekend, which was really an interesting vibe. Last one things before we close out here, Gary. I wanted to kind of just ask. So one of the themes that I at least heard about was like people were getting the hell out of Dodge, maybe because it was cold and that type of situation. So your thoughts on, not necessarily on that specifically, but how did the Celtics relax and relate during All-Star? What was Joe's message, as they gear up here now for a game against Chicago and kind of get back in here for the stretch run? How did some of the Celtics spend the All-Star break? I saw JT was, on the beach somewhere with Deuce, or whatever the case would be. But any insight you can kind of give us to Joe's message to the team and how they were going to get away?
Yeah, it looked like Jaylen went to Puerto Rico for a few days and did like a basketball camp, which I thought was pretty cool. And I'm sure all those guys are flying into Chicago tonight, because they didn't practice today. They have shoot around in Chicago Thursday morning and get ready for the Bulls. And then obviously they go and play the Knicks. And I know Mazzulla went to London. I think he took some pictures with a soccer player and exchanged jerseys. I know, I think Sam Hauser, went back to Wisconsin and I think everybody just kind of went their separate ways. Porzingis said he was going to be on a beach in Miami, getting some sun and also getting a chance to work out and get that ankle totally healed and work on some weight so he can be ready for the last third of the regular season. So I think it was a good break for guys to just take a deep breath, feel good about themselves, winning the last 6 games. Now you've heard all the rhetoric, oh, the Celtics are favored, or it's theirs to win, or Jayson for MVP. All these storylines that are now starting to kind of trickle out about, Jayson has a real chance to win the MVP with a really strong finish, and why isn't he more of an MVP candidate? And Porzingis is the key that it unlocks everything with the Celtics, and all
you
that.
Get the same news I get, huh?
Yeah.
the narratives are narrativing, right? Yeah, it's all over.
And they knew it. Those guys knew when they went to Indy, they're going to be asked, one, why have you guys been so good? What have you done? And two, what is it going to take for you to win a championship? Because everybody's kind of fatigued over the Celtics being a really good team, but not getting over the top. And then, but everybody asked Doc Rivers, what the hell's going on in Milwaukee? And Dame and Giannis, what's going on with you guys? They asked Bam Adebayo, are you guys ever going to be healthy? They asked, Tyrese Maxey, is Joel Embiid going to ever come back? And are you guys going to be able to make a run? They asked Jalen Brunson, are you guys for real in New York? They asked Donovan Mitchell, can you guys keep this? Everybody has a narrative. So the Celtics have narratives. I think Jayson and Jaylen enjoyed their time in Indianapolis. I think they had fun. I think they both played well. We're not talking about Jaylen's 36 points in the game. I think he had a shot at MVP. I remember, when we're in the arena, we go down early because you don't want to fight the fans to try to get down, because some of these guys, their flights are literally probably
minutes after.
Yeah. So like Jokic walked off the floor, no awards, and then went right to being interviewed. Like he was one of the first ones Bear in his full uniform. These guys are trying to get the hell out of Houston, get the hell out of Dodge, and get to their island for a Monday to enjoy Monday morning. So we have to leave early, like 4 minutes left in the game, 5 minutes left in the game. Just make sure we can get down to the lower level.
Yeah.
And I remember like Lillard had 32, and I think Jaylen had 33. So I'm like, wow, Jaylen might have a chance. If not Halliburton, then when I saw the final boxer, I didn't see the last 4 minutes. You know, Dame came back into the game and scored another 7 points, I believe, and finished with 39. So I think Dame kind of came in there and said, okay, I'm going to restore some order here. Nobody else getting the MVP but me. So Jaylen, I thought, had a chance with 36 points. I thought he was really effective, and I think he proved a lot this weekend that he's a superstar in his own right, and I think he's got a lot to prove in the last 27 ball games.
Well, as we close out here on Believe in Celtics, so as you alluded to, Boston's 27 games left, in control, if you will, of the Eastern Conference as of right now, obviously just trying to stay healthy and things like that. Really quickly, from a synopsis standpoint, is it just about health here from your standpoint with them? Like, obviously they still want to play good basketball. Celtics basketball is sharing the basketball a little bit more, or as they have been. Obviously, we know they're going to continue to shoot the three. But is there anything that you're looking for them to potentially work on, or is this team just more or less, hey, play how we're playing and try to stay healthy here for the stretch run?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, Warren. I do think you keep the ship sailing smoothly, but you also try to knock some teams out. You got the Knicks coming up. Then you got Chicago and the Knicks, and then you got Philadelphia. Then you got Dallas. Not an easy schedule. As I said, Warren, I don't know who said that the Celtics had this like really easy schedule really easy stretch. I don't see it because I'm looking at the schedule right now. I'm looking at Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Dallas, Golden State, Cleveland, Denver, Phoenix, and then it gets a little easier with Portland, but at Utah, tricky game. Phoenix again, then it gets a little easier. Washington and Detroit, okay. Then Milwaukee, then Detroit, then Chicago, then Atlanta, okay. But they still have Oklahoma City. They still have 2 with Phoenix. They still have 2 with Milwaukee. They still have 2 with New York. And they still have Sacramento as a tricky team, right? And they still have a game at New Orleans. So not a cakewalk, right? To minefields there. So make sure you avoid those minefields and then get to, I want to say, Warren, like April 1st, where you have a commanding lead in the East, and then you can start giving guys some rest. You can start resting Porzingis, resting Holiday, moving it around, kind of a little, alternating games, Horford or whatever, that's what I would do. Because honestly, if you look at the last set of games, they only have, if I'm looking at the schedule right, they have a back-to-back on March 17th and 18th, Washington, Detroit. So you can rest some guys there. That's a pretty nice stretch. They have another one at Detroit, Chicago, 22nd, 23rd. But from then on, they have one more back-to-back, and that is the 11th and the 12th, New York, Charlotte at home. So they can give guys some rest. They can give guys maybe 2 or 3 days off. They can also play some of these guys like a Horford because there's only one back-to-back. So they can strategize how they do this. But I said keep the ship smooth. Incorporate Springer and Tillman too. Let's see what they have.
Good point.
Yeah, I think Tillman, is healthy. Tillman might make his debut on Thursday. See what he's got. Figure that out. Get a comfortable enough lead. Don't avoid a losing streak to where that last 2 weeks you can rest and you don't have to worry about the number 1 seed.
Well said, G Money. So we'll see the Celtics back in action here coming up. First game against the Chicago Bulls, and then how they can close out this stretch run. Again, alluded to just trying to stay healthy. That'll do it for this week's edition here for Believe in Celtics. As always, again, follow my guy Gary at G Washburn Globe on X. You can follow me at Shaw Sports NBA. It's been fun catching back up with you, brother. Great talking about All-Star and the whole 9. We'll be back at it cracking here next week. Kind of going over some of these games as the games do resume and the Celtics get back into action. That'll do it here. We'll catch y'all next week. Peace.